Hello everybody, welcome to part 2 of my series Tropical Fish Breeding, where I started the last video looking at the different type of breeding, different type of fish, right? Different type of egg laying fish, even some live bearers. Today I will be looking at other topics such as the whole idea of conditioning your tank, right? Though some species will spawn in aquariums, the eggs or the fry often do not survive because of predatory parents or other fish, right? Often the fries usually die because of unfavorable conditions. Some fish are just so sensitive that's their fries, right? So sensitive to unclean water that they don't survive the first few days. Many species that practice brood care will harm other fish mates in an attempt to guard their fish. So those fish who have young ones, for example, the other day I informed you that my chromides were actually in spawning mode, right? They actually lay their eggs in some holes in the substrate, and when the fries actually hatch, they actually keep the fries in their mouth. Now, other fish was in the other fish were in the pond with these fish. These fish include rainbow fish and another chromite fish that never have any partner at the time, right? And the chromite that have paired up and have actually spawned in that actually spawned in the tank actually killed two of my rainbow fish and was on the way of killing the other chromite fish before I actually rescued it. When I rescued it, the fins were all torn and it was really beaten. The spawning tank should be like a hospital tank with protected heater. That's for those persons who live in areas that tend to be cold at times, right? So the fish may not suffer the whole idea of being too cold or being too warm. A slow moving filter such as a sponge filter, so that the eggs or the fries are not sucked up. What I'll do with my aquarium is that whenever my fish have actually spawned in my aquarium, I usually take out the bottle that actually acts as a vacuum for the mess that is within the tank. So the only thing that is in my aquarium is the air hose, right? And that continues to be so until the fish or the fry become free swimming, and I can manage to actually take it out with a spoon. um Depending on the spawning method, the spawning tank can be set up in a number of different ways, right? Egg scatterers, because of they often eat their own eggs. For example, the filament barb and the tiger barb and all the different barb and textures in which I might have. What I do, I use a mesh container, a mesh system that actually allows the eggs to go through, and the fish is limited into into going down for the eggs. So therefore, the eggs and the fish are separated. Okay. So the parents do not get the chance to consume those eggs. Usually I use a small tank, 5 to 10 gallon can use for spawning egg scatters, right? For egg scatters like bars and danios which lay non-adhesive eggs, the spawning tank can be furnished with a substrate consisting of 2 layers of marbles. Now what the marbles does is actually when the egg is laid, the egg goes between the marble and the fish can't get it, right? But to me, that poses a problem because when the fries are there swimming, At times I can't find the fry and messes in the pond, and it's just difficult for me to clean. Right, I've tried that, it have worked, yes, but the cleaning part is not an easy task because the fries actually go between the marbles and hide. For egg scatterers, that the adhesive eggs like tetras, the spawning tank can be furnished with a substrate, right? And the tank should be planted with fine leaf plants. The eggs are laid amongst the plants and adhere to the fine leaves. The parents should be removed after spawning. Now, the issue with that now, the parents being removed, is that it's not all the time when the fish actually spawn you are able to move the fish, because sometimes they do spawn when you're asleep or when you're at work or you're just not at the moment present. Thus, the whole idea of um saving those eggs is kind of limited. What I do, as I said earlier on, is to use a net that actually helps to allow the eggs to go through while the fish is limited, right? Now, egg depositors, depending on the egg depositor, the tank should be furnished differently. For those depositors that care for their young, the parents can remain in the tank after the spawning substrate. After the spawning, right? Substrate spawners, depending on the species, should be given tank furnished glass panes, such as, for example, as I was saying earlier on, the curry catfish, they lay the eggs on usually lay the eggs on the glass, or they lay the eggs on the filtration hose, or the sections of the filter, right? And some lay the eggs, some other spawners, they lay the eggs in pots, in shells, in caves, on stones, to name a few. So you have to look at the different type of fish you have, whether or not you want it to spawn, and provide the necessary environment in which the fish may require, so as to end up with successful spawn. Egg barriers, I would say chromites don't really bury their eggs, but they dig a hole, and what happens is that they lay the eggs in it, and as soon as the eggs hatch, they keep it in their mouth, right? After spawning, and the peat moss can be removed. It can be used, right, as a substrate, right? It's one of the best substrate for egg bearing species. The peat moss can be removed after spawning and placed in a plastic bag to be stored for weeks to months, depending on the species. New peat moss substrate can be placed in the tank for further spawning in order to initiate hatching. The stored peat can be immersed in salt water. Now, moat builders, um, moat builders now can be bred in aquarium because the eggs are protected in the moat cavity. However, it is better to separate moat builders with eggs because of their potential aggressive behavior. There are no special breeding tank requirement other than the usual tank setup. What some persons do is take out the eggs out of the moat builders, such as the blue dolphin and the manganos and other fish, and they put them in what you call a tumbler, right? And tumbler help to keep the eggs at a certain temperature and keep them afloat, right? So they are not stagnant, because if they are stagnant in one place, they will rot and they will not be good. Moat builders should be placed in breeding tank because the eggs are not protected in the mouth, but laid on the surface where they are open to predators. Nest builders should be provided with materials which will build their nest. For bubble nest builders, fine leaves and floating plants should be provided. The tank should have no water current to disturb the nest. For example, you're planning to breed your betta fish, that would be the best requirement. If you know that you're going to put your betta fish to breed, turn off all filtration system, and provide a leaf or a piece of foam to help the to build the nest, right? Live bearers can be bred in breeding traps, similar to the breeding basket in which I've made on my channel, and I've actually shown you. And I've even made an aquarium which have a section where which the parent would go, and as she has deliver her fries, the fries will actually go through different creases within the tank, escaping the jaws of the parent, right? As the female releases the young, she can be fed so that she's not able to eat the fry. As soon as all the young are born, remove the parent. Now, stimulating spawning, I said something previously about this. For example, the coral catfish. The coral catfish love it when the water is cold. When the water is cold, they tend to spawn, right? One of the best way to induce fish spawn, especially difficult to spawn species, is to stimulate natural condition. And among factors which encourage natural in spawning condition is the food and the rainy season. Now, if you want your fish to breed, and you know that the fish usually breed during the rainy season, you set your filtration system in such a way that the water actually beats on the surface of the of the tank, which imitate rainfall, and fish will breed as a result of that. The right water conditions are among the most basic requirements for spawning a fish. Thus, the water conditions should be similar to those in the natural environment. By the following suggestion on the breeding or water. In species description, approximate natural water condition. That means you're going to look at the pH and the water chemistry of your tank or pond, so as to provide the necessary environment for the fish to spawn, right? You need correct lighting, water current, social conditions, and spawning site, hiding places, right? The correct food, the whole idea of the fish having the correct nutrition that is necessary for spawning. Stimulating the rainy season, I explained that already. What you could do, target fish. Now, target fish can be used to help strengthen the bond between fish pair. Target fish can be another of the same species or similar species that is placed in the tank with breeding pair. This third fish will serve as an object of aggression of the pair. The pair will work together to chase off the target fish and not fight between themselves. Only use the target fish method in large tank with plenty of hiding places so that the target fish is not killed. And that's very important for you to know. Alright, now the fish is no, the fry is now born, and the egg is now hatched. Now you need a rearing tank, and I did a video on this where I talk about the three different tanks that you have. You have the breeding tank, the rearing tank, and the community tank, right? Now, after going through the breeding process, right, a rearing tank is required for young fish, right? I allowed my chromites to stay in the pond with the parent, and the parent actually spawned again. And when it spawned again, the older chromites actually consume the younger chromites. So while allowing young to stay with parent, you must be mindful that issues like this may occur, right? The rearing tank should have a protective, it should have enough filtration, and should have the correct water parameters, which allows the fish to grow healthy, right? At times you need to cull your fish stock. That the fish that born with one eye, crooked fin, twisted spine, no fin on one side. People tend to cull those fish. What I mean by cull is actually take out those fish, either feed as a feeder fish to other fish that may exist within your collection, or just practically destroy that fish. Um, Remember, water change, good nutrition, and the whole idea of accommodation being appropriate for the fish to spawn is relevant in breeding your tropical fish. Thank you for making the Fish Keeper Jamaica. I hope all this information was useful. I will try my very best to keep you informed about new ideas, new technique, anything that may come up as a result of the new discovery. Thank you very much. Do have a good evening.